What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Scale News Update, episode 285. I've done this show 285 times. Crazy. If you're not familiar with the Scale News Update, this is where we talk about the news topics that happened in the scale world of RC over the past week. If you enjoy the Scale News Update normally, hit the like button. This week was a less busy week in the news and not nearly as controversial. So let's jump into this week's topics. First for this week, Losi released a 1/18 scale LMT. True solid axle scaled down version of their larger scale LMT. There was never like a scale put on the larger one. As far as I saw, it didn't say like 1/8 scale or 1/10 scale. It was just the LMT. And now there's this 1/18 scale version. They did such a good job on it. The molded plastic cage, the bodies are on point. The solid axles look fantastic. The size of this thing in general seems to be pretty good. This is a brushed monster truck rather than a brushless like the big brother, but obviously trying to keep the cost somewhat reasonable. The cost is like around $259. How much is it? The cost on this is $269. Now, if you compare to Horizon's other 1/18 scale, the 1/18 Capra, it's pretty close to it. Of course, there is licensing because you can get this in either the Grave Digger body or the Son of a Digger. Both super iconic, super awesome monster trucks that follow suit with the larger versions that Losi already made. Just overall, this thing looks fantastic. I'm not a huge monster truck person myself, but I feel like if you are, this has to be a fun little, the speed of this thing looks great. They were jumping around. The video that they produced was awesome as well. So this looks like an RC you could have fun with inside or out. So I can see this on a lot of people's shopping list. If you'd like to get yourself on the pre-order, you'll find that at the links in the description below. Next, Reefs RC released a handful of new products this week, starting with some brass, as you can imagine. They're selling replacements for the 800 LP lower brass cover on the bottom side of the servo. There's a plate that goes on the bottom of servos that's removable. Well, you can either replace it if you've got a 800 LP that you don't want to look scratched up like you have it on a servo on axle type application, or if you've got a standard servo, I imagine this would fit on a number of the Reef servos, you could replace it just to get a little bit of extra weight down as low as possible depending on how you have your servo oriented. Not a bad little deal, but find that there. They also released a brass version of the Micro 99. So the small 1/24 scale or shift dig type servo applications, you can get that one in brass now as well. And then also, speaking of shift servos, Reefs also released like a variable length, which just kind of has that slotted design that you'll see on a lot of the Horizon style shifting or dig style arms. So you can check that out. They have one specifically for their servos. I'll put a link to the Reefs website in the description below. You can go check out all those new products. This week, Holmes Hobbies listed the new Crawlmaster Mini V3 version in a bare setup. So not pre-wired like you normally buy them from Holmes Hobbies. This is an AM32 based ESC. So this is tech that came down from the drone side. It's an open source based firmware that goes onto these ESCs. Works great for revolvers, things like that, where you can get that super smooth control out of those types of motors without the noise and without needing sensors. So these have worked really well. If you're interested in this, you want to solder it up yourself, you're maybe trying to put a couple of them together, if you're looking at like a custom application, then this is the kit that you would likely want. So I'll put a link to the Holmes Hobbies website where you can find this new Crawlmaster Mini V3 in the bare edition. WPL, the makers of my favorite super cheap RCs, have teased a new release coming soon, and they said in their little text there that this is going to be in the D series. Now, that happens to be the line of the WPLs that I like myself. I've had some of the other ones, but the D series have been the best. And they didn't really put much information. You can see the wheels on it. They look, more all-terrain-ish than the typical D series wheels. So wondering if we're going to finally get a 4x4 version of the WPL, D12, D42, any of the which I'm here for. They've got the four-wheel drive drivetrains out of, you know, the C series vehicles and, you know, a number of their military style as well. So it seems like they could easily adapt it into that. Just, it's been a mod we've seen a lot of people do in the past. Of course, the normal D series has independent front suspension, so hopefully they go to a solid axle under it, front and rear. I feel like that would be the most, you know, the coolest option. I'm pretty sure that those K trucks, whatever they're called, come 4x4 factory, or there's, you know, ones that you can get that are, but I assume that they're still independent. So either way, it'll be interesting to see which way they go with this. I always like those little cars. I've had way too many of them for no good reason. So looking forward to more. This week, DSM Offroad posted up a couple of new options. First of all, they posted a VS410 side battery tray that you can pick up, and it's super cheap. This is made for like any of the Phoenix or Fordyce versions. It still works with the dig servo or the selectable overdrive servo placement. This goes onto the passenger side there. So if you'd like to pick that up, super cheap, $11.99 for this setup. I also have one of these, but I put it on the other side. You could simply mirror it and put it on that side if you wanted. Mine you have to print yourself though. It is free if you want the file. I'll put a link to my website as well if you want the little battery tray. I did it as part of the Fordyce budget build off, so it's up there. Never mentioned it before, but if you don't have a printer, $11.99 is super cheap, and I do like the performance of getting that battery put on the side of the VS410. So also from DSM Offroad, they posted up that they're going to be releasing a new chassis for the Red Cat Ascent. Now this isn't available yet. I believe this is called the Rock Warrior chassis, but takes and makes a handful of modifications to that Ascent platform. They detailed it up in their post. It is going to be a carbon fiber chassis. It's going to give you some skid plate angle, going to allow easier service of that front mounted motor transmission area without having to get into the shock towers or anything like that. So trying to make some improvements to that platform, and of course be able to go to carbon fiber, shave some weight from up top. So look forward to that. If you don't follow DSM Offroad, you can find their social medias. I'll link to their website, and that's where you'll find it as soon as it's available. This Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, come back for live stream takeover. Matt and I, we're coming in on 200 episodes of that show here pretty soon as well. Unbroken streak every single week of that show. Going for that record. I don't know whose record it would be, but come join us at that, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be an interesting episode this week as I decide to dive back into the 24 scale world, the world that I typically haven't enjoyed as much, but there's some comp series around here that I decided I probably need to jump into. So if you're in the NorCal area, I'll be competing at the event on Saturday at A-Main in Chico, and then Sunday at R&H here in Sacramento. So if you're in the area of either of those and you want to come join for some 124 scale competition, we'll see how it goes. I got to build a car. That does it for this week's news topics. For this week's question, we haven't asked a question in a little while, but we're going to take it right back to that 124 scale thing. Now, that has not traditionally been the scale that I enjoyed as much, but I do love competition, so I feel like I'm ready to dive back into it. But what I want to ask you is, what is an area or activity in RC that you tried at one point, thought maybe this isn't for me, took a break, and then was like, I'm gonna go try that out again? And did it work the second time? Or did you just like, nope, I still don't like it? Because we're about to find out over here. With that, appreciate you guys for watching the Scale News Update every Tuesday, 285 times. If you enjoyed the show, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already, hit the notification bell so you see the videos as soon as they get uploaded. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.